Thank you, Kieran. I would also like to acknowledge the traditional owners and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging, and to remember that we are on a reconciliation journey, and as part of that, I would strongly encourage everyone to vote yes in this year's referendum. I also want to acknowledge my parliamentary colleague, the Honourable Steve Martin, who is the Shadow Minister for Housing and keeps me on my toes. I want to start off with a quote. "I've been to hell, now I'm out of hell. It's like $1 million to me, this place and my room." That's from Snoop, and he's a resident of Bulu Bidi Maya. Those words are incredibly powerful because so beautifully they capture what we are trying to do. And that is to change and transform people's lives, to lift them up, to help them break that cycle, that they can begin a new life. And that we understand in this room that the first step is securing a home. It's critically important. And so I'm deeply proud of our sector and of initiatives like Bulu Bidi Maya, run by an Aboriginal controlled organisation, providing culturally appropriate services that is having a fundamental effect in changing people's lives. Now, I understand we face incredibly challenging times. COVID has radically changed our housing markets and it's created enormous pressures. Skilled labour shortages, global supply chain issues, cost escalations. It's bloody tough, we know, to build the homes that we need. But I know everyone in this room, we're doing everything we can to help provide that housing. We are currently on a reform path, and I think it's really important to actually go through all the changes that are happening. And that change has been led by the housing first approach. And that was a strategy and approach that was co-designed between the sector and our government. And that has been leading our efforts to drive that reform. And there's actually been a hell of a lot, and not just about empowering more Aboriginal organisations to do housing like Bulu, or transitional accommodation like Bulu Bidi Maya. And I just want to go through it. We understand the importance of outreach. It's critical, the first step. And we know this, that it can take a long time. And I went out on Saturday morning at 6 o'clock with some sensational outreach workers, and you see the work they do. And that you understand at the heart of it, it is about people developing relationships with people, and that it can actually even take years to develop that trust and assist rough sleepers break that cycle. So I'm really proud that as part of those reforms, we've boosted homelessness outreach to 7 days a week. We've expanded it to Midland and Joondalup. We're working with the Heart team to better coordinate those services. And as part of those reforms with the End Homelessness Alliance, we are making a concerted effort to push and drive the by name list. It is deliberate, and that is to get more rough sleepers on the by name list so that we can ultimately not just get better data, but help those people get access to services. And I know the irony, and I get criticised that we see now that the data is better, that the by name list is increasing, but it is actually important. Expanding outreach services, better coordination, that we are getting an increase in the by name list. We've also established rough sleeper coordinating groups in those key centres. And why is that important? So that we do not just bring groups together, but we get the referrals to the transitional accommodation. We have expanded transitional, not just Bulu Bidi Maya, also Court Budja, and of course, the new Murray Street Lodge, where I was told it couldn't be done, but we're transforming a hotel into accommodation, similarly to a supported landlord model with Vinnie's WA. And on a side note to our outreach and transitional accommodation, we've also, and you may not be aware, created a new Country Connect service, which is about providing assistance to Indigenous patients coming down to Perth, because we know that they do represent a cohort as part of rough sleeping in our city. And we want to assist them as part of that journey. Now, in addition to that, we are looking at that housing first approach. And that is why we, with Housing Choices, created the pilot program, the supported landlord model. Now, I want to be clear, we're strongly committed to the common grounds. And after tough procurement, we've now got the East Perth project underway. But we also have the supported landlord model. And for those not familiar, it's a simple proposition. We spot purchase a unit. Housing Choices provides the supported landlord, the supported tenancy. And then those tenants, rough sleepers, referred to by our rough sleeper groups, have access to housing first services. This is a great model. We said in 1 year that we would get 100 homes with Housing Choices for 100 people. And I'm proud to say that we are ahead of target. 58 homes with 55 people currently being supported. I'm excited about this program. It has so much enormous potential, and it is changing lives. And now we've committed, and it will be a tougher ask, but to roll out this program into regional communities. Because we know, like in Geraldton already, where there was a pilot of 10 homes for rough sleepers, that we can also make this work in the regions. I also want to briefly talk about reforms in the housing sector, because it is important. I want to assure everyone in this room, I'm trying to do bloody everything I can to deliver as much social housing as possible. 2.6 billion over 4 years for social housing and homelessness. 4,000 homes now, thanks to an increase in the last budget. We said we would deliver 1,300 social homes in the toughest construction market in our state's history, and we made it. 1,356. We're using every lever, modular, prefab, converting surplus government regional housing stock. We want to boost the community housing sector using lazy land, $150 million to date. And it is our intention through major new projects like Smith Street, Pearce Street, Subiaco East, that we will boost new community housing, because we understand the critical role that community housing provides. And I just picked up the planning portfolio, which I was very excited by. Lost local government. Actually, that was okay. They'll kill me. But today, I'm pleased to announce, by getting that planning reform portfolio, that we are making a change. We need a streamlined approach to approve social housing in Western Australia. So today, as part of the reforms and planning reforms, we will now enable any community housing provider for any project, value or size, to use the DAP system. And what that means is it will prevent some of those NIMBY local governments, and we know this is increasing. We see it. Only speak to Rua about the harassment that drop-in centre is receiving, that we do need streamlined approvals for community housing providers. And that is that commitment today. I do want to end on this. I know that there is a lot of work still to do, but I want to assure you that we will use every lever we can to drive that reform, to accelerate social housing in Western Australia, to boost the community housing sector, to work with homelessness providers. And I appreciate commissioning is still underway, but that we leverage the best outcomes that we can from the investment we are making. And I want to personally thank everyone who works in the homelessness sector. And I say that sincerely. Going out with the outreach workers on the weekend, and I've said this to some providers, you're not doing this for glory. You're not doing it for the pay. You're doing it because there is a genuine and absolute commitment to assist the most vulnerable people in Western Australia. So thank you. Thank you to Shelter WA. Thank you to Kath and Kieran, incredible advocates for your sector. I look forward to the week. And as I've always said, my door is always open for new ideas about how we can end homelessness in Western Australia. Thank you.